Blue Beetle number 8, written by Tony Bedard, art by Marcio Takara. We left off last issue with the introduction of a new villain. I believe his name was Stopwatch. Okay, he's got time powers. So this issue, pick up, it is his backstory. His name was Addison Lau. He was a scientist at some big thing called Project Stopwatch out in the Mojave Desert. It was 10 months ago, and I guess they had just discovered or proven that tachyons exist, and so now, in order to not get their budget cut, he's trying to use it in some sort of practical manner. And there's a woman there named Florence Tan, also a scientist, who's like, Professor, what you're doing is risky and dangerous. He's like, but we have to try, or else they'll cut our funding. And he presses the button and the whole thing explodes. And his internal monologue saying he had a crush on the woman and he wanted to tell her that he loved her and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the thing exploded. Firefighters came in. She's already dead. But he survived, and he has a whole bunch of like tech from this experiment just embedded into his body now from the explosion. And apparently he's recounting this whole story to the young boy who he had put on the short timer armor or whatever it's called. And he's basically saying, yeah, so we had our funding cut, obviously, after that. And I am able to live because the stuff embedded in me is actually freezing time and keeping me in stasis. So therefore, I am still able to live. But now I have to work outside the law to get my funding and fund my time machine so that I can go back and stop this from all ever happening. Whole bunch of backstory. Anyway, moving on to Jaime. He follows the Scarab to a runaway home for like boys, and apparently at the top of this place is a signature of some tachyons, which the Scarab says is definitely the trace of it. So he goes in, he talks to a guy in charge, and he's like, wow, yeah, no, I ran away from home. I don't even have to lie to be here. So yeah, ran away from home. Can I stay? And he gets hooked up with some guys in a bunk room, and they all go through their stories briefly, like, I got in a fight with my dad, and my mom was a meth addict or whatever. Well, why are you here? And he's like, it's complicated. So I'm going to cut back down to his hometown, and Brenda and Paco are looking over Tia's house, which is completely vaporized off the map. And Paco's like, is it possible that maybe she had some enemies because, everyone kind of thinks she's part of the mafia? And she's like, my aunt wasn't part of the mafia. She got rich from stocks. And no, I don't think she has any enemies. And then a car pulls up, a guy steps out, and he's like, I've got some business with you. And he reaches into his jacket, and Paco's like, run away, Brenda, he's got a gun. Turns out it's just a business card. Turns out that he is the aunt's lawyer who's in charge of her estate. And now that she has disappeared, Brenda's got some money coming in. So cutting back to the Jaime story, we see him trying to break into a door on the 6th floor. It's locked, and before he can break into it with this Blue Beetle powers, the guy comes up. The guy in charge of the building is like, oh, that says off limits, son, but don't worry, you're not the first kid. Come on down. We need to have a chat. And apparently he saw the missing persons report for Jaime from his hometown. He needs to make a call and say, hey, Jaime's all right, so you can stop looking for him. He's safe. So, yeah, that's a thing. Meanwhile, as he talks to a couple of the boys, we see the website Superfail is reporting on Blue Beetle smacking Brenda around. And all the guys are like, yeah, no, this Blue Beetle's a total dick. He's like, cool, glad you think so. Meanwhile, upstairs on floor 6, Addison Lau is looking over footage of Jaime and doing some scans and stuff and seeing that he has remarkable energy. So he's like, yeah, no, let him come into floor 6. It's kind of cool that he's here. And so when Jaime tries to bust into the room again, he just opens up the door and activates his Blue Beetle armor. And then Addison Lau's like, hey, hi, my name's Addison. You can call me Stopwatch. Cool abilities, super awesome. Blue Beetle, seen you on Super Fail. So yeah, don't mind the dead body here. That was my assistant. Let me tell you the entire backstory, and tells him the whole thing of how he's trying to get the stuff so he can build a time machine and go back in time and save his thing. Because, hey, if he goes back and saves himself and his beloved from the explosion, then these people won't die. This entire thing just will not happen. So yeah, it's a noble cause that he's fighting for, not evil of killing all these young men by luring them into a trap. And the suit specifically makes sure to tell Jaime, yeah, time travel's impossible. He's literally just killing these guys. So Jaime gets angry, pulls out some guns and fires at the time machine, and that pisses off Lau. He's like, I can't do all that again. You've made me a murderer. Now I've killed these people for definitely always and forever. How dare you? And he fires off like a time blast of tachyons at Jaime, who is able to deflect most of it, but something happened. It's unclear. It just says, come on, I don't want to turn into beef jerky. And then the suit like says it did something. So I don't know what. But either way, as Jaime's distracted by that, Lau makes his escape and the building is now on fire. So he has the suit activate the fire alarm. Everyone evacuates and they see Blue Beetle flying out of the top floor. And they're like, hey, it's that guy on Super Fail. So then Jaime just thinks, man, I literally came here to get out of trouble. And I just made all these boys homeless again. Maybe Super Fail's right. Maybe I kind of suck. Can we just like suit that big bad you were talking about, the evil source of energy or whatever? Can we just like fight that thing so I can prove that I'm a good guy? And they're like, okay, I guess, but maybe we should be stealthy. And it's like, no, big action scene. So he goes after wherever this thing is, and as he arrives, it turns out that it's a Green Lantern power battery, and when you know it, as he arrives, we see Kyle Rayner, Bleeze, and I'm blanking on the name of the orange one from Green Lantern New Guardians. And Kyle's like, hey, you want to tell me why you're peeping in my apartment? And the bug suit tries to react because it's a huge threat, but hey, that's next issue. Also, apparently someone else is keeping tabs on Kyle Rayner's apartment, and it's unclear as to who yet. So yeah, that's this issue. A lot went on. It's solid though. I like it. I always like something about the way they do Jaime's eyes. I don't know. I like it. It's very expressive. It has a lot going on with it. I mean, all of it's expressive. Like, it's not like he has a still mouth or anything like that, but his eyes specifically. So art-wise, yeah, solid throughout. I think Stopwatch is just kind of like I mean, if we're coming back to him, cool. But it seems like this issue and the last one were just like, all right, here's a little bit of a whatever story because we just need him to be around. So yeah, it's fine. I give it a 7. Yeah, it's good. It's solid. It's just a basic Blue Beetle sort of story, and we're still forwarding the stuff going on back home at the same time. So yeah, I'm interested, and we'll see what happens next issue.